Howdy, friends. Welcome back. This is kind of a little special thing. It's an episode of Small Talk, number 15, I believe is what we're up to now. When I was younger, my dad and I had a decent relationship, but growing up, there was just a lot of strain, a lot of tension, a lot of hurt. He didn't understand me, and I didn't understand why he didn't understand me. Nonetheless, as I got older, I was driving down the road one day, and I just asked the Lord. I said, Lord, you could have given me anybody for a father. I mean, you could have given me Ward Cleaver for a father. Why did you choose this guy? My dad was kind of rough around the edges and all that. And I said, so why did you choose him to be my dad? And I really just kind of spoke that out loud, not expecting an answer. But an answer came back, and I saw, and you can think what you want to about this kind of thing. That's fine. This is just what happened. But I saw a picture, a very clear, vivid picture of two 2x4s. One stood up like this and one on top, and there was a 16-penny nail on top of the board, set up and ready to be driven into the boards. And then I saw a picture of a very polished silver hammer. And I could tell by looking at it that this hammer was perfect, that it had no flaws, that it was perfectly balanced, that it was the hammer, for the job. Then I saw a second hammer, and the second hammer, one of the claws was broken off and it was rusty. The head was loose and it had wedges driven down in it to hold the head on, and the handle was old and cracked and gnarly and had tape wrapped around it and that kind of thing to hold it together. But I saw a hand reach over to that hammer and go, that's the one, and picked up that hammer. And then that hand, with one mighty blow, drove that nail into the wood. And in carpentry terms, you drive a nail into the wood, but then you hit it one more time to sink it. Okay? But that hand didn't have to do that. It just hit it once, and it was in, and it was sunk. And when you sink a nail into two pieces of wood, man, it tightens it up and it's in place. And then I heard on the inside somehow, all of your father's imperfections, like that hammer, made him the perfect tool, the perfect instrument to sink your heart into me and to sink you into my life. And then it was gone. And all at once I understood that God doesn't need a perfect father or a perfect mother. God doesn't need a perfect anything. What he needs is the right person for the job. And he knew what I needed. And he knew the kind of dad that I had. He knew all of my dad's flaws and imperfections, and he also knew mine. And I am probably, of the three children, personality-wise, the most like my dad. So I began to realize over the years that in a real sense, I've always had two fathers. I've had my earthly father, and then working through him in some way that I don't really get or understand, he fathered me alongside of, through, and with my father. And it doesn't fit a lot of theological boxes that people have, and I get it, but he did it. So it helped me to it gave me something to remember. Things were still tense. We still had some tension and stuff. But over the years, the roles kind of changed. And by the time my father passed away, we had a great relationship. And we both had each other's respect and appreciation. But long before that time came, and not long after that vision or picture, whatever it was, I wrote a song. My dad was a carpenter. My earthly dad was a carpenter. My heavenly dad is too. And I think you'll see how this works through this song. I'm not the most polished player, so bear with me. My father is a carpenter. I'm sure he understood that the little boy within his hands was like a piece of wood that he would have to fashion into the best man that he could. I thank God my father knows how to work with wood. Sometimes the wood got stubborn, the grain twisted and was rough. But he knew what I needed, and he knew just how much. And he understood that sometimes love must be tough. I thank God my father loved me that much. And oh, I can remember painful times at his hands, when it seemed he was undoing all he'd done. But now I see his discipline is like a carving knife that cuts away all things that aren't his son. My father is a carpenter, and now I understand that the only hope I'll ever have becoming a man is to lie still and silent in his skillful hands. I thank God my father knows how to make a man. I thank God my father knows how to make a man. So friends, all of us have more than just our two parents going on. We've got a papa who loves us more than anyone else ever will. And he's always working for us, through us, in us, through all of our flaws and imperfections, and our parents and everyone else's. He overrides all of that with kindness and grace and goodness and life. All right, friends. Hope you like and subscribe. And sorry that the song wasn't very polished, but sometimes I just got to pop these things in here. Have a great one.